After doing Deathcember, I was requested to do the ABCs of Death, the anthology film that preceded Deathcember by a couple years. With this one, there were 26 short subjects with 26 directors. Each one of them was assigned a letter in the alphabet. With that letter, they needed to find a word that started with said letter. After that, they need to create a short subject surrounding that word. So, obviously a lot of creativity could come out of this. I enjoyed Deathcember fine enough, and I'm intrigued by the anthology film, especially one that has this many short films. It's kind of like going to a festival. I had read a lot of criticisms towards Deathcember that said it was just a ripoff of the ABCs of Death. So, let's finally check this one out and see how it does. This is the work of directors from 15 different countries, produced by New Zealander Ant Timpson and Alamo Drafthouse founder Tim League. Like the Deathcember review, the best way to tackle this is to simply mention each individual short. We start out with A, which has a wife kill her husband. Why? I guess she was trying to poison him over a long period of time, but he seems pretty indestructible. She also ran out of time because the apocalypse has begun. This is kind of a weird one, but it's a piece of a larger story that leaves a lot to the imagination. Letter B has this young adult couple trying to scare a little girl to sleep so she can stop bothering them. They tell the story of Bigfoot, only for a creep to break into the house and kill the couple. It wasn't Bigfoot though, so I'm not sure how it connects. We're only 2 in though. Letter C has a concept I like, but not enough time to show it off. It basically has a time loop where this guy is killing himself, kind of like Looper, which, funnily enough, came out the same year. Not much to write home about on this one. Letter D is about a dogfight between a human and an actual dog. You see the dog get punched, so automatic deduction right there. But I have to say, the filmmaking here seems more involved. There's a lot of slow motion, and the atmosphere works, but don't hit the dog! Letter E is about spiders? Not really even sure what to say about this one. There's a CGI spider, it's infesting the apartment, grows baby spiders inside the guy's body, nothing you haven't seen before. Man, these are pretty boring so far, but there's 26 shorts. I'm sure we'll get to something better. Okay, letter F is nearly unwatchable. F stands for fart. And if you know how I feel about potty humor in general, you'll know that this just doesn't work for me. This might be funny to others, but it's cartoonishly gross in all the wrong ways. I wanted to skip this one. And letter G is simply a waste of funds. Seriously, did this guy just take the money for himself and whip out a quick snippet with the production value of a vlog? This might have been an interesting idea when the GoPro was first invented, but literally it's a quick one shot of a guy surfing into the water with a bag of bricks, which drowns him and then he dies. That's the quality that we're getting at this point. Seriously, this is the ABCs of death? However, letter H is bananas, taking furry culture, 90s advertisements, and World War II propaganda and creating something visually unique, like a live-action cartoon. In fact, it feels slightly inspired by Roger Rabbit, but much more perverted. It's like Peter Jackson made a spin-off to Meet the Feebles. I kind of like it. Letter I doesn't really have enough material to make sense or be thought-provoking. You can tell that the creator wanted to make some shocking art, but I'll hand it to them. It is pretty chilling and well made, even if I had nothing to say about it on a contextual level. It's creepy. Letter J is hilarious for the few seconds it lasts. It's very reminiscent of humor from East Asia, like what you'd see in Riki-Oh or Kung Fu Hustle. Maybe it's a bit overdone, but it really tries to recreate the expressions you'd find in anime, and I really enjoy it. For what's been a pretty dry affair so far, the comedic pieces are effective. Letter K is like classic animation from the 90s era, but unfortunately the concept just doesn't do it for me. Animation can break the rules of physics and reality, which this sort of does, but I don't think it goes far enough, especially when it's going to center around a toilet and poo. I don't like potty humor, but, it's animation. I only question the proceedings because the relatable situation becomes a confusing one. This should have had more slapstick. Letter L is awful, and I really have nothing more to say beyond that. It's trying to be a miniature version of Sallow, but like Sallow, the point it's trying to make has already been made billions of times before, and this doesn't really have anything more to add, except to take things way too far. This has serious trigger warning material, and no, don't watch it just for the shocks. This one is offensively bad. Letter M could be construed as offensive, and it will be to some, so again, trigger warning, but honestly, it doesn't even try hard enough to even be shocking. At least with letter L, I can see some people giving it positive remarks for the grotesque nature, for just how far it goes, but letter M hardly has a concept going to even give any thought to it. Wow, we're already halfway through? And unfortunately, there's not much to say on a filmmaking level. There's been a few neat tricks, some tough effects, and letter H has impressive creations, but honestly, this already is lacking the variety and level of talent that was present in December. Maybe the ABCs of Death was just too broad a topic. Letter N is a one-note dumb joke, but I laughed. The parrot was funny, okay? I know some disagree, and maybe I'm just too bored, but I chuckled! I thought it was good! Letter O is a student art film. I know some will love it for the weirdness and avant-garde appeal, but this doesn't do it for me. Bubbles! That's all I'll remember, is bubbles. Letter P just shouldn't be here. This doesn't have much to do with horror or gore. This is probably the only one that tries to give a different meaning to true terror, but it's trying to tell a meaningful story that holds back on the scares. Plus, I thought this was about death, not horror, so I think it kind of missed the point. I'm glad this anthology had some diversity, but this felt pretentious. Letter Q is co-directed by Adam Wingard. Funny that we're talking about this short film the week his Godzilla vs. Kong film debuts. From this, I'm pretty excited for his upcoming work because this one has a unique idea, it's funny, and it sticks to the theme. This is basically a meta portrayal of the creators trying to figure out ideas for the letter Q, since so little words start with Q. There's an actual concept that is fully played out. Finally, a short film that works as a short film. However, this immediately leads to letter R, which upon writing this review, I can barely remember what at all happened. They were cutting this guy up, and he mutated and turned against them, I guess. I think it had something to do with celluloid. Not sure what's being said here. Letter S is for speed, which is half Breaking Bad, half B-movie. I don't mind this one. The metaphor is a bit blatant and over the top, but it's focused filmmaking that has an idea. Then again, I could see this running as an anti-drug PSA in the 80s. Letter T is pretty neat stop motion, but much more tame when compared to December's stop motion short. The toilet is attacking the family, but it's only the kid having nightmares because his parents took the potty trainer seat away. It's pretty gruesome, which is what usually happens with these animated horror shorts. It's kind of weird that both animations took place in a bathroom. Letter U is simplistic, and everything that letter G wishes to be. It's a first-person perspective of an unearthed zombie, or possibly vampire, getting taken down by local hunters. It's neat, it has almost no dialogue, and it's spine-chilling, while also trying out something new with modern film technology. Letter V should be cooler than it is. I'm glad at least one filmmaker decided to do an overblown sci-fi story. The director happens to be comic book animator Carrie Andrews. It's too bad because this short just doesn't have enough time to dig into itself. It's a futuristic world where the women are infertile, but can gain back their fertility by hunting down so-called enemies of the state, who happen to have mind control. Not sure if that's a spoiler, but then again, why have you watched this far into the video if you're avoiding spoilers? Letter W is exactly what it's titled, WTF. Another meta project that goes full on acid. It's a mix between Adult Swim and YouTube poop. I used to make remixes almost 10 years ago, and I can tell you, it takes a lot of talent to do it right. All of mine sucked, and this seems to be eerily similar to my sloppy work. With all of these letters being pretty lame, and this feature becoming a missed opportunity, letter X stands out. It's extremely gory, but it has something to say, and it takes a new angle for body horror. This was fantastic fantastically made. It's gross, it made me twist in my chair, but I love almost every minute of it. I don't care if it's a somewhat tired moral. This is the best that has been offered so far. I loved this one. Letter Y has a perverted janitor and a revenge murder. I'm not sure why there's an 80s synthesizer with the color scheme of a modern indie thriller. There's way too many mixed visuals and sounds here that probably don't gel together, but it gets the point across. Letter Z is ridiculous and doesn't make sense to me, even with its supposed Doctor Strangelove tribute. Maybe I just don't understand this humor, but it doesn't tickle my funny bone. It's too weird and all over the place, and it's also too clean and modern to have any kind of cult personality. And with Letter Z coming to a close, is it over already? No additional films for the Blu-ray? They have a bunch of special features, especially for the better shorts, but I have to say, overall, some of the selections here are pretty bad. There's more blunders to be found here when compared to Deathcember, and I at least remember quite a few of the better shorts from that Christmas anthology. I think this production was an eye-catching gimmick, but it doesn't feel entirely focused. Unfortunately, some of the plots are either lazy or too big to be told in a few minutes, and even the standout ones lack the variety I would hope for. I think the filmmakers should be allowed to do what they want, but it's funny that most of them either came back with a very simple splatter scenario or something so goofy that it became misplaced. The only theme here is death, so it becomes a bit broad, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of chances taken, and most of the chances taken don't turn out good. The ones I think are worth checking out are H for Hydroelectric Diffusion, J for Jade Geki, Q for Quack, T for Toilet, U for Unearthed, and X for XXL. There's a sequel to this, but I don't really have a wish to check it out at the moment. I like anthologies, and I think they should make more, but I think they should just make ones with less short films, or focus it on a holiday or an event. It worked really well for Deathcember. I just don't think giving filmmakers a letter and telling them to run off and make a short and come back is gonna create pieces that are provocative or special.
Special thanks to Anthony for this Patreon request. Thanks for watching the video, and special shout out to Anthony, Anna, Kirsten, Spencer, Lucas, Ryan, and Robert for the support on Patreon. By joining my Patreon, you can get exclusive videos and blogs, and for only $7, you can request your own movie review. I hope you stick around, cinephile, and have a happy, productive day.